And I just watched the Silent thing. It's called Night Creeper. Forgot. That was real good, and I was like, bruh, this is so good. Go to the Secret Force Studios channel and subscribe to them. Today we're gonna react to one video. One video. Stupid. That's why you're reacting to one video. It's not this. I already watched this. It's this.
My name is Penelope, and ever since I can remember, I've always been the smartest one in the room. I'm not
Yeah,
kidding.
stop
My
flexing.
IQ level is practically Einstein's.
Really?
Or even beyond it. I
Really?
graduated from a special science high
Then
school
why are
when
you
I
not
was
famous,
just
you
14. My dad, the doctor, always says that I get my brains from him. But I know that's not true. Intelligence is passed on from the mother, not the father. But I never really got to see how smart my mom was because she
know?
died when I was very little. Those who like and subscribe to our
Dude,
channel
why
are
do the
geniuses
fathers
too.
support
Click now so you
this?
can continue watching this video. But my life
Why
turned
do they
completely
support
upside
this,
down
dude?
one day.
Like,
I came home and
why?
found a man, woman, and 3 kids blocking the front door to the building. "Shut your mouth if you know what's good for you," the man said to the eldest kid. Then the woman pinched the youngest kid who started to cry. Apparently they lived here too.
Why?
"What the hell do you want?" the man growled when he saw me. "Are you following us?" "Excuse me? I've lived in this building since I was born," I said to him. The doorman heard us. He quickly led them away to the elevators. "Sorry about that, miss," the doorman said. "That family just moved here last week. I think they live in the apartment above yours." I wanted to tell the doorman that they weren't a family. I saw the brown eyes of all 3 kids. The man and the woman had blue eyes. It's unusual for kids not to have blue eyes when both their parents have it. I completely forgot all about them when I got home because my dad told me some terrible news. There was a mysterious and highly contagious sickness going around. Because of this, my dad ordered me to stay home. He didn't want me to leave the house. I couldn't go to school, and I definitely couldn't go to Starbucks. "We don't know much about this disease yet," he said. "All we know is that it's deadly. So I'm putting you on house arrest for a few days, all right?" I sighed, but I agreed. Dad knows
Where's the
best.
mango?
He's a great doctor, after all. He said that a lot of people decided to stay home as well. He wanted to stay home with me, but he was needed at the hospital. At first, my house arrest felt like a vacation. But after a few days, I started to get edgy. I was getting
Like
so
the pandemic
bored.
right now.
There were just so many shows you can watch on Netflix.
Yeah.
I wanted my Starbucks. I wanted to talk to my friends face to face. I remember
That's
leaning
the
out the
dumbest
window that
thing.
night, and I stared at the silent streets that were usually filled with the sounds of sirens, honking and cursing. That's when I heard that
Why?
noise from upstairs. There was a loud bump and a crash. I heard the muffled sounds of a man shouting. Then I heard a loud snap, followed by
Stop
a
talking,
heartbreaking
man!
cry. Somebody was very angry and somebody was very scared. My curious nature wanted to find
Or
out
the
what
father
was
was
going
beating
on.
the
So
son.
I found a way to do it. I ran to my study table and pulled out the wires we were messing around with in school. It was actually a listening device with an earpiece and a separate transceiver. I
Oh.
found my old broken drone. It couldn't take videos anymore, but it could still fly. I taped the transceiver on the drone and flew it outside my window until it landed on the fire escape ladder upstairs.
What?
"Oh, my body hurts all over," I heard that woman say. Then she coughed. "I feel like I'm coming down with the flu." "I feel sick too," replied a man's voice. "But you don't hear me complaining, do you? We'll go ahead with the plan. Tomorrow we'll meet with a social worker to get the money for the kids. I swear those kids eat too damn much. I'm gonna bring them down to 1 meal a day.
Why?
I
How
don't
do you
want to
know
spend
that?
that money for their food." My eyes flew open in shock. I listened to them all night. It was hard to understand them because everybody kept coughing and wheezing. They were all complaining that they couldn't breathe. Eventually, I pieced the whole story together. I was right. Those adults weren't the parents. They were foster parents, but they weren't using the money to take care of the kids. Those kids were just meal tickets for the adults. I wanted to tell my dad about it, but he just came home from the hospital then and he barely heard anything I said. Instead, he told me that he kept losing patients because of the mysterious sickness. There was nothing I could do about the health crisis. The only thing I could do right now was to help those kids. I had to take a shower first, though. I haven't bathed in 2 days, and I
Why?
smelled like a wet dog. That night, my dad went back to the hospital again. Then he sent me a message. "I love you, Penny. Sorry for being mushy. It's crazy here in the hospital. I just found out that there's a new group of people who are sick. They live in our building. Can you believe it? The parents are
What?
knocked out but stable, and the kids are in bad shape. The eldest girl kept asking about the bill. I told her not to worry about the bill. Can you imagine how scared she must be if she's thinking about how much that hospital was going to charge them? Suddenly,
Dang.
something clicked in my brain. I love you too, Dad. How many kids are there now? He replied, There are two, a boy and a girl, about 6 and 7 years old, I think. Don't you leave the house, okay? There's a bad bug going around and you might catch it even if you're just walking around the building. I gasped and put on the earpiece again. This time I heard a little voice saying, Linda? I knew what to do. There was no other choice. I climbed out into the fire escape. I went into the apartment upstairs. I found the small boy in the middle of the room. He was curled up in a tight ball. Hello, Bill, I said gently. He cried when he saw me and he kept asking for Linda. I told him my
Who's
name was
Linda?
Penny and that I was his new friend. Then I asked him to play. After a while, we climbed down the fire escape together. I brought him back to my house. I put him on my bed. I stroked his hair for a while and then we both fell asleep. Bill still had tears on his cheeks. I think I did too. I woke up when I heard a knock on the front door. Our housekeeper opened it as I peeked out. I saw the police and I saw my dad too. The police told him about the nurse who called them up last night. The nurse told them about the new patient they had. It was a little girl who lived in the building. The little girl said that they left a little boy
What?
named Bill in their house. So the police came to find the boy, but they found something else. They found the drone with a sticker. My name and address were on it. I never saw my dad look that angry at me before. They found Bill on my bed. I tried to tell them about what I heard from the man and woman. I tried to explain that those foster parents weren't really taking care of those children, but nobody took me seriously. I knew that I broke the law, but I was just trying to save the kids from getting hurt. My dad told me that when the parents
Did
got discharged from the
someone believe-
hospital, they were sure to file a case against me for kidnapping. I thought you were smarter than this, my dad said. They took Bill away. My dad
Obviously,
pleaded with
she
the police to
says
let me off.
she's
He said
smarter
that I
than
had just had an
Einstein.
overly curious mind.
That just
My
got
dad grounded me for a
meh.
long time. He
What do
took
you mean
my
a
phone away. I was
long?
only allowed to use my computer for schoolwork. No
Oh.
Instagram, no FaceTime, no Starbucks. I had
Who
no
the hell
idea
cares
what was
about
going on
Starbucks?
outside my house. When they finally got the
There's a
mysterious
freaking
sickness
virus
under
going on.
control,
I
I
wanna
didn't
go
know what had truly
Starbucks.
happened to the family upstairs. There was only one thing for me to do, and that was study. So I did, with all my might. I graduated college at 17. I took psychology and went straight to law school instead of med school. My dad was really disappointed that I wasn't going to be a doctor like him, but we kind of drifted apart since then. I finished my course load quickly, and I took the bar exam. I passed, of course, with flying colors too. I finally moved out of the house this year when I was offered a position in a law firm. I just turned 20 years old this year. With everything that's happened, I never really stopped thinking about those kids, especially about that little boy named Bill. That's why I was so shocked when I was asked to help out on a case. There was a man and a woman who were charged with abusing children that they had in foster care. There were allegations of withholding food and violent punishments. That man and woman managed to foster a lot of children over the years. When I looked at the case file, I recognized the man and the woman right away. They were the couple who lived above us when I was still staying with my dad. The only
Dang.
problem was my law firm was hired to defend them. I went to the first meeting. The man was named Greg and the woman was Sue. They were a married couple. I wanted them to burn in 7 hells, but I couldn't show that until I found out where Bill was. I volunteered to take the formal statements of Sue. She was smoking a cigarette and looked so smug. I hated her so much. These charges started a long time ago, but it was never proven, she said. A few years ago, Greg and I got really sick. There was even this stupid little girl who told the police that we weren't feeding the kids. We didn't press charges because her father begged us not to. Of course, nobody believed her. That little girl seemed so delusional. I wanted to lose it, but I had to keep my cool. I wanted to smash the cigarettes in her stupid face. This woman was lying to me, but somehow I had to gain her trust. I heard about that story, I lied. It sounded so ridiculous back then. It was in the news, I think. So, how are your kids? They must be quite grown up now. Sue laughed. You and I have client-lawyer confidentiality, right? You'd never give up my alibi. I nodded. It's all true, my dear, she said. I started to shake from head to toe. I tried to be calm so I could ask the next question. Where are the children now? Did you give them up? What's the name of your social worker back then? And that crazy criminal told me. She told me everything, believing that I was under oath to keep my silence forever. I walked out of the room with my head held high. I knew what I had to do. I couldn't save the kids before, but I could save them now. I went straight to my boss's office and gave him my resignation. Then I drained everything in my savings account and jumped on a plane. It took me a long time to find them. I found the little girl in another city. Her name was Linda. She was currently being fostered by an awful woman who had a lot of children in her house. Linda was the eldest one there. She was only 13, but she had to take care of all the younger kids. She cried when I
Oh.
told her that I would do anything to get her out of there. She also cried when she told me that the other little boy's name was Hank. He didn't survive. After they got discharged from the hospital 6 years ago, he was moved to another foster home, but he was still weak and he didn't
Oh, I
survive.
thought you
Linda and
killed
I went to
him.
find Bill. That little boy was lucky. He was actually adopted by a nice gay couple in the country. He's 9 years old now. When he saw me, he said that I looked like a person he dreams about all the time. I cried when I heard that. Then I hugged him as tight as I could. I took Linda with me. When we got home, it was chaos. The law firm wanted to sue me, but they couldn't. Word got out to the media about what Sue and Greg really did. The reporters came after me, and I felt like it was my responsibility to tell the truth. The law firm was in hot water about defending people like that. Greg and Sue were convicted by the courts. They were sent to jail for the rest of their lives. The police are
Damn.
still tracking down the rest of the children. As for me, well, I lost my license to practice law. First and foremost, I broke lawyer client confidentiality and I talked to the media about the case. I didn't have any money left and I needed to give Linda a proper home. So I went back to my dad, even if I didn't know what to expect from him. When he met me at the door, he looked at me for a long time.
How does it look the
Then he put
exact
his
same?
arms around me. I am so proud of you, he said. My dad was still practicing medicine. He was more than happy to take us in. Last night, after tucking Linda to bed in my old room, I went to have a talk with my dad. I've been thinking, I said. Law wasn't really for me. I think I'll go back to school. I'd like to take up medicine this time. He smiled and replied, Helping people is in your blood. You get it from me, he replied. Then I asked him to help me with something more important than medical school. Dad, can you help me with some adoption papers? I'm not actually eligible to adopt because I have no steady job right now. I know I'll be a good doctor someday, but right now it's not about my brains anymore. It's about my heart. He hugged me tight and then he sighed. There's something I have to tell you. I should have told you years ago, but
What is the
I was
point?
scared that I might lose you. My dad told me that I was adopted. He and my mom fostered me right after I was born. In less than 6 months, they adopted me. But then, after a year, my mom passed away. I didn't think that we could ever love a little child so much, my dad said. After your mom died, you were the only thing that kept me going. You became my
Damn.
life. A million questions burst into my head. I wanted to know who my birth mother was. Why did she give me up? Where was she now? Was she a genius too? What happened to her? But I shook my head. That mystery could wait another day. I had to focus on Linda now. I took my dad's hand and looked into his eyes,
What is the point?
filled with tears. I said, You never made me feel like I wasn't really your child. Thank you. He replied, I always knew you would do great things. Being a lawyer and a doctor is just the tip of the iceberg. Now I can see you're going to be a great mom too. Ugh, boys are so complicated. I know a lot of people have strange relationships with the opposite gender, but I can guarantee you that my tale really takes the cake. Do you think you have problems talking with boys? Imagine how.
I am a boy. That one was like the last one was like, what is the point? Like, if getting the point, okay, I'm waiting. Where the heck is the point? I've been waiting so long. I don't even know how long this recording is. I want to watch that what's it called again? Night Creeper again. And yeah, I am. I really got mad. What a time. Yep, if you guys enjoyed it, I'm glad. So oily. Look at it. Yeah. Okay. Peace.